In 2007, a crew dragged half a ton of flesh and arms tipped with spinning hooks from Antarctica's midnight seas. The eyes were wider than a dinner plate, the muscles built for ambush. Colossal squid like this are not accidents. Something in Antarctic waters does not just allow monsters, it manufactures them. But the true force behind these super predators is stranger and more fragile than you have ever imagined. Here is where the nightmare begins. A steel trawler rocks in the Antarctic swell, its deck awash in freezing spray. Crew hands, faces raw from the wind, brace themselves as the winch groans under impossible weight. The cable jerks, the pulleys shriek. Then, with a final heave, something erupts from the black water, a mass of flesh, arms writhing, suckers glistening like pale moons. The logbook records it as 495 kilograms, nearly half a ton, but numbers cannot capture the chaos. Tentacles lash the deck, each lined with hooks that spin freely, catching on boots and railings. Eyes, unblinking and wide as a dinner plate, reflect the deck lights, giving back only darkness. Men stagger, slipping on ice and slime, shouting warnings in 3 languages. One arm wraps around a winch, another coils toward the scuppers. The air smells of brine and something deeper, older. For a moment, the crew stares. No one moves. The creature pulses with muscle, built for sudden violence, as if the sea itself refuses to let go. Only brute force and the crack of a steel gaff bring it under control. Even subdued, the squid's arms twitch, hooks rotating, as if searching for a way back to the abyss. Radio calls go out. Monster on deck. Unprecedented catch. In the log, someone writes, like hauling up an alien. Shock gives way to a kind of awe. The crew circles the body, hands trembling, eyes darting from beak to tentacle. In these southern seas, monsters are not just stories. They are real, and they leave scars on steel and skin alike. A colossal squid on the deck is not just a spectacle, it is a lesson in Antarctic engineering. Every inch of its anatomy reveals a blueprint for predation on a scale that should not be possible anywhere else. Along each tentacle, swiveling hooks jut from muscular arms. Unlike the fixed suckers of lesser squid, these hooks spin a full 360 degrees, anchored by a ball and socket joint buried in the flesh. When prey struggles, the hooks rotate and dig in, refusing to let go. This is not a passive grip, but a mechanical trap, a living vice that can adapt its hold in a split second. The arms themselves are thick with muscle, built for sudden, explosive strikes. Each sucker rim is ringed with serrated chitin, leaving circular scars on anything unlucky enough to be caught. But the squid's most unsettling feature stares back in silence, eyes the size of dinner plates, measuring up to 27 centimeters across. These are the largest eyes in the animal kingdom. In the perpetual twilight of the deep Antarctic, such eyes can detect the faintest glimmer, a flash of bioluminescence, the shadow of a passing whale, the movement of a distant fish. The beak, hidden beneath the massive arms, is sharp and powerful enough to shear through bone. Internally, the squid's body is a reservoir of slow-burning muscle, powered by oxygen-rich blood and a metabolism dialed down for endurance. Every adaptation is a response to the deep cold, the darkness, and the scarcity of food. No other ocean offers this combination: supercharged oxygen, relentless pressure, and months of night. In these conditions, the colossal squid is not just possible, it is inevitable. Antarctic waters hold a secret weapon: oxygen. In the Southern Ocean, water temperatures hover just above freezing, often between -1.8 and 0 degrees Celsius. At these temperatures, oxygen dissolves more readily than anywhere else on Earth. Every kilogram of Antarctic seawater can carry 350 to 400 micromoles of dissolved oxygen, a concentration unmatched by the world's warmer seas. This invisible abundance is not just a chemical curiosity, it is the engine behind the region's biological extremes. Cold water's capacity to hold oxygen means that even the deepest currents, stirred by relentless Antarctic winds and the churning of bottom water, remain supercharged. Vertical mixing keeps oxygen levels high from the surface down to the abyss, ensuring that creatures living hundreds or thousands of meters below have access to a steady supply. In most oceans, oxygen drops off sharply with depth, creating suffocating dead zones. But in the Antarctic, oxygen-rich water flows like a lifeline through the entire food web. This chemical environment sets the stage for bodies built on a scale that would be impossible elsewhere. With more oxygen available, muscle tissue can grow thicker, hearts can pump slower, and energy can be stored for months of darkness and famine. The cold slows metabolism, stretching each molecule of oxygen further. Here, the rules of biology bend, and the boundaries of size and power are pushed outward. Oxygen is the silent architect behind every Antarctic giant, from massive squid to dinner-plate sea spiders. In these waters, the basic chemistry of life becomes the blueprint for monsters. Even giants have limits. Antarctic waters, for all their oxygen riches, draw a hard line, a biological ceiling that no amount of brute muscle or monstrous adaptation can cross. The cold allows oxygen to saturate every drop, but the rules of scaling remain inescapable. As creatures grow, their volume outpaces the surface area through which oxygen can diffuse. This is a law captured in Kleiber's equation. Metabolism increases with mass, but not fast enough to keep up with a growing body's needs. In laboratory tanks, researchers have pushed Antarctic sea spiders and amphipods to their breaking point. The results are sobering. At 9 degrees Celsius, just a few degrees above the coldest shelf waters, performance collapses across the board. It does not matter if the animal is a hand-sized spider or a giant amphipod. All lose the ability to move or to feed. The oxygen that once fueled their monstrous size becomes a bottleneck, strangled by heat. This is not a gradual decline, but a sudden wall, a threshold where even the most extreme adaptations fail. Community-wide, every species tested hits this ceiling. The message is clear: polar gigantism is a privilege of the cold. As Antarctic waters warm, the giants face a future where their own biology turns against them. Vulnerability is not just theoretical, it is measured in degrees, and the margin for error is vanishingly thin. Leopard seals patrol the edges of the ice, their heads breaking the surface with a slow, deliberate glide. Underwater, their bodies twist and coil, muscles rippling beneath a skin of mottled grey. In the austral summer, these hunters shadow penguin colonies, waiting for the moment when young birds plunge into the sea for their first swim. On some islands, up to 15% of a penguin colony may vanish in a single season, snatched by jaws that can crush bone in an instant. British Antarctic survey trackers have logged seals travelling hundreds of kilometres to intercept prey, their movements driven by hunger and the rhythm of the ice. In 2003, a research diver's log at Rothera Station recorded a fatal encounter. A leopard seal seized a biologist, dragging her deep beneath the ice. The attack rewrote safety protocols for every Antarctic dive team. Not all Antarctic marvels are built for violence. On a laboratory table, during Operation Deep Freeze, researchers stared at a fish with blood as clear as ice water. The ice fish, a mutant among vertebrates, lacks hemoglobin entirely. Its heart is massive, its veins wide and sluggish, pumping oxygen-rich plasma through a body tuned to survive at -2 degrees Celsius. Transparent blood, anti-freeze proteins, and a circulatory system that defy biology textbooks. These are adaptations born of a world where most life would freeze solid. In the Antarctic, survival takes many forms. Some are written in scars, others in the silent pulse of bloodless hearts. In the gloom beneath Antarctic ice, the food web pulses with a different kind of power. Sea spiders, normally the size of a fingernail in temperate seas, roam here with legs spread wider than a dinner plate. Amphipods, shrimp-like scavengers, grow to monstrous proportions, their armored bodies bristling as they swarm the seafloor. These giants owe their existence to the invisible engine of Antarctic life, krill. In 2014, a remotely operated vehicle sent by the British Antarctic Survey captured a blackout event in the Weddell Sea. The camera lights vanished behind a living wall, billions of krill moving as one, drawing in predators from every layer. Sea spiders and amphipods surged in, triggering a cascade of feeding frenzies. But this engine is faltering. Since 1980, oxygen levels in these waters have dropped, a slow suffocation measured by robotic floats and shipborne sensors. A 1-degree rise in temperature can shrink the maximum size of giants by up to 30%, forcing them to shrink or die. As Antarctic waters warm, the era of monsters may be ending. The giants that once thrived in the cold now face a world turning against them, their future written in degrees and dissolving oxygen. Antarctic seas are warming, losing oxygen faster than any other ocean. As temperatures rise, the giants and predators shaped by these extremes face an uncertain future. What survives next will be decided not by ancient forces, but by the choices we make far from the ice. Evolution now waits on us.